I see the biggest concern as the chemical factor. Most people that I talk to, that's the most, the biggest concern of the hydrofracking. I think hydrofracking being fairly new, there really isn't enough evidence to find out all the implications of the chemical factor in the ground. And I guess my biggest concern is like the whole public health issue, because ultimately the chemical factor concerns us for our overall health. So what you see in heavily drilling areas as far as, getting the word out to the people what they have to do to protect themselves, because that's a real concern to me. A lot of people, because we're a rural county, a lot of people don't have internet access, and if they have if they're a small property owner, who's going to help them get this momentum in place? Because I understand to test your water, you need to know what chemical you're testing for, and there's also a window where you need to have the testing done before any drilling activities. So there's a lot of unanswered issues, I think, for the public health of people. Even the transporting of chemicals, like you were talking about the tracking of chemicals. If it goes out of state, it's kind of lost to us, and incoming wastewater is kind of lost to us. So if I'm one of those neighbors, really, how can I protect myself? The chemical factor, I think, is the #1 concern of most people.
Yeah, in general, again, it falls back to the baseline. And when people start talking about testing their water, I wouldn't be looking at frac chemistry. That's exotic. It's a lot of organics that are changed at depth. What you need to do is you need to establish a baseline of some very simple parameters. The temperature of your water, how clear your water is, the specific inductance of the water, chlorides, how much chlorides are in the water. I mean, chlorides come from road salt. If your well is downgraded from the edge of the road, you may be drinking salty water that's coming from road salt. And to say that came from a drilling well, it's tough. You need to understand what your present water quality is. And that water quality doesn't need to be all this obtuse, organic, and very expensive chemistry. You need some basics. It's sort of like a fecal coliform test, the presence or absence of something. So you don't need to spend $600, $800. You can spend, to a lot of people, $200 to $300 is a lot of money, but you need to establish that baseline.